assistance branch of the United Nations, the World Food Programme is the world's leading humanitarian organization, which strives to achieve zero hunger in countries around the world where there are people in hunger. The WFP works in 83 nations, saving lives and changing lives. It leads the world in frontline food assistance in times of emergency, fight for better nutrition, and strengthen communities to brave shock and disaster. The Korea Office of WFP opened in 2011 in Seoul and has been delivering an important role in supporting many operations of WFP's country offices around the world. To learn more about this organization and its goals. Joining us today on Heart to Heart is Mr. Hyoung-joon LIM, head of the World Food Programme WFP Korea Office, which is the world's largest humanitarian organization addressing hunger and promoting food security. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Would you like to say hello to our viewers that are watching?
Yes, my name is Hyoung-joon LIM. I'm head of UN World Food Programme in Korea Office.
Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Could you maybe give us a detailed introduction to the WFP and also tell us about its principles and values?
Yeah, WFP is, like you said, one of the largest humanitarian agencies in the world, working towards zero hunger, the world without hunger. And we have 92 offices in the world, over 80 operations. And even at this moment, there are 92 airplanes, 20 ships, and 5,000 trucks working around the world, around the clock, to help the poorest of the poor. And we have 16,000 staff, and 90% of our staff is in the field, front line of hunger and poverty.
Yes. And Mr. Lim, I heard that this year is a very special year for WFP as well as the Korean government. So could you tell us about this?
Yeah. This is the 50th anniversary of signing basic agreement between government of Korea and WFP. So in 1963, Minister of Agriculture of Government of Korea requested WFP to come in and help. And then WFP joined in 64 and worked for 20 years. And 68, they signed a basic agreement. So it's already 50 years.
Yes.
And you see the huge changes. Korean government graduated from WFP assistance and became a major donor after one generation. So the post office published this postcard commemorating 50th anniversary.
Oh, I see.
So it's a very exciting year. We very much hope many countries achieve zero hunger like Korea did.
Oh. My apologies. I should have begun by congratulating you in the beginning of our show. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, I've seen many slogans, and there is this one slogan that really catches our attention. It is the Zero Hunger Challenge. So could you tell us about the objectives or the challenges of this comprehensive vision?
Zero hunger is declared by 8th UN Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon in 2012 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. So since then, the motto was end hunger in our lifetime, and it became the official goal of Sustainable Development Goal number 2. So it's one of the top priority of the UN and the global society.
I see.
So we really try to achieve, because now is the time we can end hunger, because we have now enough food, enough technology, enough knowledge. So with the will and working together, we believe we can achieve zero hunger.
Could you maybe give us an example? Could you tell us how exactly the WFP is, helping or trying to achieve zero hunger?
Yeah.
What is it focusing on?
Yeah, for instance, I went to Bangladesh earlier this year in January, and we had a project, Zero Hunger Community Project. And after 3 years, I met beneficiaries and discussing with how they transformed their lives. And like 3 years ago, they had nothing to eat and they really suffered from hunger, chewing sugar cane. And now I talk to them and I ask this question: did you achieve zero hunger? Everybody smiled and confidently said, yes, we achieved zero hunger. I see those people really genuinely saying that they achieved zero hunger. So it's an individual zero hunger, community zero hunger. And you see Korea, it's a country zero hunger.
Yeah.
So if we, increase this kind of countries, we can achieve global zero hunger.
Yes, we will reach that goal.
Yeah.
Now, to many people, including myself, we barely worry about food. We have plenty of food.
Exactly.
People, it's not easy to grasp the idea of the word hunger or the hunger situation. It doesn't really hit home. So could you tell us how many people are actually suffering from hunger? How many are in hunger or undernourished?
Yeah, but every day, even in the richest countries, they feel hunger. But we have solution. You just open the refrigerator, or you just go to restaurant and you eat, and your problem solved. Right. In the so many parts of the world, people that don't have that solution. When the sign of hunger came, they have nothing to do, so they suffer. And the number of hungry people are 821 million people. And unfortunately, number of hungry people are on the increase. In the world of plenty, so many food is being wasted and thrown away, and still more number of hungry people are increasing. So this is a very sad situation, in fact.
Yes. Now, I heard about the global food crisis, how it's depicted as a silent tsunami. Could you maybe tell us where this term came from? Where did this silent tsunami come from, the term? And how serious is the situation, the hunger situation in these areas?
In 2004, the big tsunami hit in Asian region, in Indonesia. And I think in that period, our former executive director mentioned silent hunger, a silent tsunami. So tsunami is one of the major disaster, natural disaster.
Yes.
Why we put the silent adjective? Because many people don't know about hunger, maybe not interested in hunger. That's why we put that one. And over 3 million children under 5 are dying because of hunger. So in terms of airplane, one airplane crash is a huge news.
Yes.
But imagine like 40 to 60 airplane every day crashes. That's the number of people dying from hunger.
Right, that's a devastating
And
number.
like a small country like Uruguay, Armenia, Kuwait, it's a population of about 3 million. Every year, one country is disappearing from the map. That's the magnitude of the hunger problem.
Yes, it really is a serious problem, a devastating reality.
Exactly.
What would happen if the WFP weren't helping those in need? What would happen to these people?
Imagine you are hungry and nobody helps you. Then you will suffer a lot. And there are so many places in the world, people don't have access to food, and they are hungry. So they will definitely suffer. And when I was working in the field, and I heard that, every village I visited, a couple of children died because of hunger or nutritional problem. So it is really serious, and they need help. They need assistance.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many people that are actually dying, even as we speak at the moment, because there are so many children that aren't nourished enough. They need food. They are in hunger. And just like you explained to us about the silent tsunami, just when someone just instantly says silent tsunami, you get this image, a very impactful image, and you could just automatically think hunger, because it comes silently and it hits all of a sudden. So I hope that many of your viewers that may not have been interested in this issue or have not known about it will take this opportunity to learn more about this fairly serious hunger situation.
That's right.
What are some of the simplest things that we can do as individuals to get us closer to zero hunger? What can we do to help those in need?
There are many ways to help. And first one is Share the Meal application. You can download, and just a few taps away, you can donate to and help a hungry child. Just 2-3 taps away.
I see.
So it's very simple. Another one is we have several SNS channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So you can follow us and you can get updated what's going on, what we do, and how you engage. Because hunger cannot be solved by one person. Everyone hand in hand and work together, then we can resolve the hunger issue.
Yes. And you, WFP provides food assistance and delivers relief supplies to help those. But often you find yourself in difficulty, especially in doing so to deliver such supplies. and food assistance to areas, especially in harsh conditions. So could you tell us about maybe an urgent situation or maybe dangerous situation that you have been in or that people can find themselves in?
Yeah, we face the challenges all the time because the place we work is in very difficult conditions.
Yes.
Sometimes the road is destroyed, the bridge is destroyed, and there's no way we can get. But we always find a solution. So we find a new road, we can build the bridges, and sometimes we can use animals, donkeys, to reach the top of the mountain. Some places where cars or human cannot reach, we use the airplane. So there's an airdrop so that people can collect food. So there are many, many creative ways we can utilize to help people.
Now, of the many times that you actually delivered relief supplies and food assistance to these areas, which were very hard to reach, could you maybe tell us about one situation or an incident where you had to travel long distances or go through, I don't know, rough terrain? Is there an incident that you remember?
Yeah, we were helping ethnic minority in Laos in the mountainous area, and it's very hard to reach. The people have to work 2 days.
2 days?
To meet us. And then, we give them food, and they have to work on the mountain. And the food bag is quite heavy, 30 kilograms. And they put on their bags, and they were working, But they were so happy because they get the food, so they work. And then there was a river, so they have to use a small lift, and they put their food, and they go all the way. So it's very tough, carrying those food. Because I was following them, and I didn't have to carry the food for myself. But just climbing the mountain was so hard.
Right.
But these people with the bags on their shoulder, they were still very happy and caring because they get food for their family.
Yes, I mean, the thought of just taking home something to feed their family, I'm sure that just gave them that boost, that energy. And yes,
exactly.
Yeah, kept them going.
Yeah.
Now, nothing will stop WFP to achieve these goals and relief activities. Which of the many activities that you were involved in with WFP do you remember the most, stays with you the most?
When I was in Guinea-Bissau, the Western African countries, there were thousands of refugees influx because of the conflict in the southern Senegal. And I was the first person to assess the situation. And I went there. It's a small house, and from 60 to 100 people of refugees stay in one house. In
one house?
Yeah, so imagine in your home, 60 people from somewhere come to your house and stay there. So the host community didn't have already poor, and then there are so many people flooding in and staying their places, and they have nothing to eat. So that's the action we took, immediately, because people cannot continue without food, So we bring the food within 2-3 days, very quickly, and then at the moment, children, because the children were very hungry, and when the moment the children were receiving food, they were so happy and they were eating. So it's a very, the refining moment, a very rewarding moment.
Yes.
That, we really save people's lives. So that kind of work is very rewarding and very noble work, I believe.
You have worked in many countries across the world. Could you tell us when and where and what you did in these countries?
Yes. I joined the WFP in early 2000 and worked. I worked in 4 different continents.
I see.
I worked in Latin America. I worked in Africa. I worked in Asia. I worked in Europe.
You've been all around.
Yeah, and back to Asia now.
Yes.
So, that was a very interesting work. In Honduras, I did nutritional assistance, so helping malnourished children and mothers. In Guinea-Bissau, I did a lot of emergency work, so people suffering from, famine or conflict. And in Laos, I was doing community development work. And in Rome, I was doing partnership work and continuing here in Korea with the Korean government. So it's a very interesting and rewarding work.
How do you deal with the sufferings that you see? Because sometimes when you see people suffering, those images and those thoughts of them, they kind of remain with you. How do you deal with things like that?
In the beginning, it's very shocking, very heartbreaking. However, because we are there and we provide assistance, they change. For instance, I met a girl, Yadira, who was 18 months old in Honduras, and she was acutely malnourished. And if we don't provide assistance, she's about to die. So she was a really, really bad situation. And then we took care of her. So we took her to the hospital. She got all the treatment. And after a couple of months, she recovered. So that's a very, very happy moment. I can still remember. So there a lot of things happen like this. I go to school, and the long queue of small girls, small boys waiting for food. And they all put great smile on their face. They're so excited. They're so happy. And it's a great incentive for them to come to school. Because at home, there is nothing to eat. And then they come to school because they want to eat. Then they get to learn, and they can fulfill their potential. One example, in Rwanda, I saw a child who wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and come to school. So I asked the boy, why you wake up 3 o'clock in the morning? He said, it takes 4 hours to come to school. And why you work 4 hours? Because there is nothing to eat at home, but I come to school, I can eat. So he eat, he can get to run. So it's such a strong incentive for a child to work all the way 4 hours. So this is, the work. And earlier this year, in January, Mr. Paul Terragat is IOC member from Kenya. He said, WFP's school meal program made who he is today. So he had to run to school because it's far away. Then he realized his talent of running. And then he became a legendary marathon runner. He got many medals from major world sports games. And then he became IOC member. And he came to our office and, he thanked us. So it's very inspiring. So, small help like this really changed their lives.
Right. Very inspiring, very rewarding moments. I'm sure they fill your days. I heard that you have dreamt of becoming a part of such an organization, or you've kind of always dreamt of working at such an organization. Since when, and why did you dream of working at WFP or any organization like this?
In early college days, I had 2 big questions. What kind of person I want to be, what kind of work I want to do. I had no answer. And I suffered. And then I read a book, and the book says, if you climb higher mountain, you can see lower part very easily. So I decided to see the world. So I backpacked 80 countries over a span of 3.5 years.
3.5 years?
Yes. So that's the moment. So I saw a lot of things. And I saw extreme poverty, extreme hunger in person. And that's when I started to think, maybe I'm a small individual. Is there anything I can contribute to this global problem? And then the defining moment was in Malawi. I saw a long queue, people with a big smile and wearing something very passionately. And what is this? Why people are wearing something with such a big smile? And it was a food distribution site by WFP. And by seeing that site, I decided, okay, this is something I really want to do for the rest of my life. And that's how I ended up with the WFP.
So was that because you said that you traveled for 3.5 years?
Yes, backpacking.
Was that did that happen in the last year, in the final year of that 3.5 years?
No, it's when I was 21, I started, 20 when I started. And maybe first trip was 1.5 months, second trip 2 months, third trip 7 months, then 1 year, altogether 3.5 years.
Since joining the WFP in 2002, right, you've worked in several countries, as you've said, before you actually became the head of the WFP Korea Office. Now, what is the primary focus of the WFP Korea Office?
The majority of WFP offices are in the front line of poverty and hunger. So they are actually helping people. They're providing food, providing assistance, doing a lot of different type of activities. Korea Office is supporting those operations. So we form partnership with the government, private sector, and we also raise awareness of the people, general public, stakeholder, so that they get to know what is hunger, what is WFP, so they engage and they provide support. So Korea Office alone is working with many different country offices, more than 30 country offices, and we provide support in partnership with the Korean government. So this is the kind of work we are doing at the moment.
I mean, Korea has progressed from a recipient to one of the major donor countries of WFP. So I guess, that gives meaning. It's all the more meaningful to take part in these activities of the WFP, right?
It's indeed inspiring because, when we talk about zero hunger, many people say, is it really possible?
Right.
And, it's a living example. When I was a kid, my parents always told me, don't leave even a grain of rice.
Oh, I remember that too.
Because my parents really, they always talked about how hungry they were. So they couldn't eat lunch, they couldn't eat dinner. So for them, 1 grain of rice is so valuable. So that's the kind of things that I used to hear. And, now nobody talks about that kind of thing.
I think I remember my grandfather, my mother telling me about how my grandfather would always tell, his children, my aunts and uncles, never to leave even a grain of rice in your bowl. Finish everything. And my mother would tell me that as well. So I have the habit of doing that too. So my rice bowl is always very clean when I'm finished eating.
But how you stay fit?
I just look fit on the outside. All right. Now, could you tell us about the future activities of the WFP Korea office?
We are quite busy. So basically, we are working with a different ministry. Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Unification, Ministry of Agriculture, KOICA, and also private sector. And recently, Korea government actually gave 50,000 metric tons of rice to 4 countries, Yemen, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda. So this is the first time in history providing rice for the humanitarian purpose abroad. So it's a very, very, we are very excited about this. And it's a really win-win situation, So, and I went to Kenya and Ethiopia recently, and people were so happy. I can show you the video clip. People really singing and dancing when they see the rice.
Oh, wow.
Because they haven't seen the rice for many, many months. And when they see the rice, they were so excited. And they were so happy.
Would love to see those faces, I'm sure. It's just brings that big smile on your face. And it just warms you up as well. Could you share your thoughts on the solutions to end hunger?
There is no simple solution. But like I said, we have to work together, hand in hand. And also, with the business as usual, we cannot end hunger. So we need to be more innovative, creative. And in Germany, Munich, WFP has an innovative accelerator. So there are lots of innovation activities ongoing. So one example is blockchain. So in Jordan, there are lots of Syrian refugees. Now what they do is they go to the supermarket and they show their iris, and then they purchase their food. And every transaction is done by blockchain. So the cost is much lower, and we can reach out more people. And we started in last year with 200 people in Pakistan as a pilot. And then the number increased to 10,000 people end of the last year. And we are aiming to reach 500,000. So this kind of innovative things, we can really change the dimension of hunger.
So today we had an opportunity to learn about the reality of the hunger situation and the activities of the WFP. We hope that you continue to do your utmost to help those in hunger and those that are undernourished. And we all can do something as well to help. We can perhaps start by making wise choices when it comes to what we eat. So I just want to send out a message to our viewers and to you, perhaps, that we all can help as individuals. We can do little things, small things, to help WFP achieve zero hunger.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.